Good evening. My name is Jacqueline Washington, and this presentation will be Fulfilling the Requirements for Nursing 5309, Teaching Learning Theories, Strategies and Evaluations for the University of Texas. Today I'll be doing a demonstration to a group of youth counselors who will be going on a camping trip on how to splint a suspected fracture. At this time, I'm going to go over the materials needed for this demonstration. First, I have my splints, and for this demonstration purposes, I will be using just pieces of wood, but you can also use tree limbs, poles, or any sturdy material that extend above and below the fracture. For the padding, I'm using a t-shirt, but you can also use a poncho, a jacket, or even shrubbery to cover the splint to prevent further injury to your patient. For my securing material, I'll be using just strips of cloth, but you can use belt, you can use a jacket, you can use a t-shirt, anything to secure your splint to the area. At this time, I'm going to have my demonstrator Jared come up, who's also one of the youth counselors who will be going on the trip. How are you doing, Jared?
I'm good.
First thing I'm going to do is introduce myself to Jared and let him know that I'm here to help him. So Jared, my name is Jackie. I see you have a fracture of your arm. I'm going to go ahead and splint that for you, okay?
Okay.
Next, I'm going to check his circulation. And by doing this, I will blanch his fingertips and observe the return of the blood. And what you're looking for is how quickly or how slowly it returns. If you have an even return on both extremities, then you know there are no circulatory problems. If he has a slower return on the injured extremity, then you know you're having a circulatory problem, which could lead to an emergency. Next, I'm going to remove any jewelry, any tight clothing that Jared has on his injured extremity, and he has his watch on, so I'm going to remove it. And the reason for doing this is to prevent any further injury in case that extremity starts to swell. Next, I'm going to put my securing strips in place. And you want to put it above and below the fracture. If this was a lower extremity fracture, I would go ahead and use more than two. I'd have two below and two above the fracture for the lower extremity, but since it's just the upper extremity, I'll just have one above the fracture and one below the fracture. And I want to make sure that these are not on his joints. I'll go ahead and place the splint. And you want to make sure that the splint is long enough to extend above the elbow and below the wrist. If you only have one splint, you'll go ahead and apply it to the outside. But since I have two, I'll go ahead and apply both of them, one to the outside and one to the inside. And if your victim is conscious and not in too much pain and can assist you, you can ask them to help you hold the splint in place while you secure it. And you secure it by tying a non-slip knot. And you always want to make sure that you're tying it on the outside and away from the injury. Okay? Now, Jared does not have an open fracture, but in case he did, before you applied your splint, you would go ahead and apply a dressing to that open fracture, to the bone that's exposing, or if there was a cut, you would go ahead and apply the dressing prior to putting your splint on there to stop the bleeding. Now, once the splint is in place, you want to go ahead and check your circulation again by blanching the fingertips. And again, Jared has even return. And another way of assessing for circulation is by asking Jared a few questions. Jared, are you having any numbness or tingling in your fingers?
No.
Does your injured arm feel colder than your other arm?
No.
So that identifies that Jared is not having any circulatory problems at this time. Alrighty. Do I have any questions on this demonstration?
No.
Okay. May I have someone volunteer to demonstrate?
I'll do it.
Oh, come on up, Rich. go ahead and just get this material off for you. Alrighty. And for demonstration purposes, we're not going to have Jared put the watch on again since it's already off. And I'll let Rich go ahead.
Okay, the first thing I'll do, I'll go ahead and identify myself to the patient, Jared. My name is Rich. I see that you have a fracture. I'm about to splint that for you to help you out. Okay. I'll also go ahead and check his circulation. Make sure color returns evenly. I have my splinting materials here already. I'll go ahead and use my strips of cloth. I'll go ahead and pre-position these.
Now, what else could you use instead of strips of cloth? A poncho or t-shirt. Okay.
I have my padded boards. The boards are padded to prevent any further injury. I'll go ahead and place these alongside his arm, making sure that they extend beyond the elbow and beyond the wrist. Jared could also use his non-injured arm, his hand, to help hold it in place if he had to. I'll go ahead and tie a non-slip knot away from the fracture.
Now, if you had an open fracture, say the bones were exposed, or Jared had a burn, or just another abrasion on there from someone in the audience, what would you do first?
You would want to dress the wound before you start this process.
There you go. You just want to apply a dressing, and if the bone is exposed, and you just want to put that dressing on loosely. But for something that's bleeding, you go ahead and make sure you stop the bleeding, and you do that before applying the splint. Very good.
Once I've tied my non-slip knots, I'll go ahead and check for circulation once again. Go ahead and ask the patient if he feels any numbness or tingling in the fracture area. Jared, do you have any numbness or tingling?
No.
Okay, at this time, my task is complete.
Okay, do I have any questions? Any further questions at this time?
No, none.
Okay, and I just wanted to reemphasize the material, because I know you all are going to be out there and you won't be having anything readily available to you when you're hiking or if you're swimming, or doing your fun things while you're out there. So that's why I want to make sure that you know that you don't have to look for a piece of board. A tree limb is fine, a tree branch, anything that's sturdy enough and long enough to secure that. You can get that material. If somebody has a shirt, a belt, to secure it, you use whatever material is available to you. And so I just wanted to prepare you for that, because it's not like you'll have a first aid kit readily available with these materials. Well, at this time, if there are no further questions, I just want to thank you for allowing me to come out to do this presentation and for your time and attention. Thank you.